In a better place, heard 1,000 times, and at least 1,000 times I rejoiced for you. The reason why I'm broken, the reason why I cry is how long, just how I wait to be with you. I close my eyes and I see your face. Those homes where my heart is, and I'm out of place. Lord, won't you give me strength to live the things somehow? I've never been more homesick than now.
Everybody, please rise. Everybody, please be seated. We do have some empty chairs up front. Feel free to come up and fill them in. Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful sight this is. People standing in the back so we don't have enough chairs. It's just a small fraction of the lives that have been touched. My name is Josh Brazell, and Mitch was one of my very best friends. I've been asked, have the distinct honor to help guide today for our friend Mitch Loveless, a man I consider family. Now, I had to write a lot of this down because I'm usually not lost for words, but this one got me. I've known Mitch since middle school. We were only casual friends in middle school. It was later in his life that I really got to know him. And I can honestly say my life is that much better for it. He left an impact that not many people can. We truly got to know each other real well, as we both had very similar beliefs as far as religious views go, ancestral nature. One of the main foundations that we fall on is the 9 noble virtues, which are courage, discipline, fidelity, truth, hospitality, industriousness, perseverance, and self-reliance, and honor. And if there was anybody in this world that exemplified every single trait, it was Mitch. He was a man that can make friends anywhere he went. I don't think the word stranger meant anything to him. With his big cheesy smile and his big shrugging shoulder laugh. His positive attitude and bright smile made it impossible to not like him, at least a little. He knew how to make everyone feel welcome, whether it was at his home or somewhere else. He was the first to introduce, first to talk, first to laugh, first to play with the kids. I know my girls loved him. Little girls loved Mitch. It was a gift. He's also somebody you could call at any time, any day, and he'd be there to help you too. Even though he told me himself he doesn't know how to fix anything, he knows how to supervise really well. In the years I got to know him, I saw a man that loves with everything he has. As good of a friend as he was a better son, a better brother, a better husband, and the best father. He loved his kids, all 7 of them, as if they all came from small little parts of his heart. Together they were whole. He has a big role in raising his boys to be real men. And he's very proud of them. Aiden and Michael. We talked about it often, how important it was for him to raise men that he could be proud of, that could be responsible, that could lead a family, that could do things that he could never do, which we all want for our kids, to do better than we did. We talked about it a lot. But he also wanted to raise his girls to be proper young ladies. And he tried real hard, but man, he didn't have any power over those girls. Took one little smile and he was done. One thing I think all his children have learned is how to love unconditionally. Work hard and be humble. As a husband, it's a joy to see the happiness he had found with his time with Christina. He told me often that he truly found his soulmate. The smile he'd get, the sparkle in his eyes when he talked about her, was one you'd imagine in a love-struck teen, which isn't too far off. As tough as he looked on the outside, He was all chocolate on the inside. He loved the outdoors, and I'm sure most people here knew that and probably spent many times with him around a campfire in the mountains, hunting deer, or just hanging out. I had many good memories with Mitch that I'll cherish until we rejoin him in the afterlife. I don't want to take too long today because I want to make sure everybody has ample time to tell any stories or feelings that you might have. Our faith has a very high appreciation for living life to the fullest. We're here to enjoy it. We're here to love. We're here to feel. And he did that. We put a lot of stock in building a legacy for our family, giving them noble blood to pass on down. As I've sat the last few days trying to find the right words to say to honor my friend and comfort his family, I thought a lot about grief. What I've come to understand in most circumstances is that grief does not serve those who have passed. They have no use for it. Instead, grief is a tool for us, for the family, for the friends, the co-workers, anyone whose life has been touched. It's a tool for us to have closure and a method of healing. Being able to come to terms with the loss of a loved one. Grief is a selfish act, but not in a negative connotation. It's important for us to take the time to be selfish occasionally, first to heal, but to affirm our feelings and our own worth. Grief is an act of love for ourselves. From this idea, you can ask, if we grieve for ourselves, then what act can we do to honor those who've passed? And we answer that with remembrance. Our final gift to the departed is remembrance. In a book that's special to our faith, to have them all, there's a stanza 76 and 77. It states, cattle die, kinsmen die, and we too someday will die. But the reputation of a man and his deeds live forever. Our final gift to Mitch is to let his name and good deeds live on. Speak well his name, tell stories around the fire, hold a toast, save a plate for him during meals, treat people as he did, keep his memory alive, and he will live in immortality. Until we meet again. Today we're going to have several speakers. Next we'll have Raylan Christensen, followed by Melissa Hunter, Richard Christensen, Rick Wetton, Chandler Loveless, Nathan Loveless, which after Nathan we will open the mic for anybody that would like to come up and say a few words, and we'd really appreciate it if you did. When nobody else has anything to say, it will be followed by a musical selection by Val Broadhead and Keith Broadhead, with remarks following possibly by Christine. Pallbearers today are going to be Aiden Loveless, Chandler Loveless, Nate Loveless, Matthew Knowles, Michael Cada, Coy Jensen, Dan Jensen, Dylan Surinyana. Honorary pallbearers are Porter Carson, Paxton Carson, Nash Knowles, Logan Surinyana, Logan Loveless, Carter Loveless, Hodge Loveless, Ledger Surinyana, Deacon Loveless, and Ty Dancy. We will follow this after the service is over. We will be heading to Basin Cemetery. Next we'll ask Raylan to come on up.
Beautiful words, Josh. Thank you. I should have quit watching the video. The only way to avoid grief is not to experience love. And I think that's why this is so hard. Mitch loved without condition. He loved with no end. His arms were always open to anybody who needed support or a hug. And I'm going to miss that. Mitch loved with his whole entire heart. He's just a fine example of a human being. Could you imagine if we had a world full of Mitches? Paradise on earth, for sure. I too believe in that family is everything. Family is the reason we're here. Family is our goal on the other side of this life. Family is eternal. I keep picturing Grandpa Clint and Grandpa Gerald on the other side now with both Gerald and Mitch, trying to keep those two in line. And I think good luck. But what a beautiful reunion I can see. On July 25th, no, July 15th, sorry, typo on my phone. July 15th, 1988. It was an extremely hot day. My sister Annette and I had planned to take our little ones to the circus. It was her due date. And she was maybe a little insane at that point. I think she was tempting the labor gods. Please get this baby here. I remember Nathan and Cammie, little Gerald, and my Jed and Corey. Cammie, of course, was the mother hen packing the babies around. The big red and white striped tents, the crowded bleachers, it was so packed, and it was humid and hot. We tried to entertain the kids, and the circus was probably a lot of fun. I don't remember that part. And I remember my sister being extremely uncomfortable. And about 8 hours later, just after midnight, Mitch was born. So he missed the circus. Mitch always knew everything, even when he didn't know anything. He had plenty of knowledge in his little 4-year-old brain. Mitch is in between my two kids, Corey, Mitch, and Melissa are a year apart. And we were often asked if they were triplets. Like, no, they're cousins, but Annette and I spent a lot of time together with our littles. And they always had two homes. My kids were just reminiscing last night about their favorite things to be at Annette's house. Anyway, sometimes my kids would share with me what Mitch had educated them on with, life, birds and bees. And we usually, everything traces back to Uncle Neil. But I'm not sure, Mitch might have just created these thoughts all on his own. Yeah, all right there. They would share with me things that Mitch had told them about having babies and making them. And when I would try to explain to my kids, it might not be exactly like that. And Melissa, with her little 3-year-old mind, would say, because Mitch told me. I said, well, maybe a mom of 3 kids would know better. Nope, Mitch told me so. I mean, they knew it was right. We used to sing
we'd have all the little kids at the counter or the table with between daycare and just cousin time. And they loved to watch Animaniacs. And so we would make up different lyrics to the tune, Animaniacs. And Corey just reminded me one of our favorites. And I hope you don't think this is inappropriate because it was just fun. And I can't sing right now, so bear with me. We're Corey and we're Mitch. We're sitting in a ditch. And because I would just make this up off the top of my head while we were eating lunch, right? And when the water comes, we'll wash our little bums. We're Corey and we're Mitch. And we sang that over and over. It was just, like I said, off the top of my head, I would just think of lines that rhymed, and that's where it came out. And it was just their theme song. I want to share with you in just closing, because I also don't want to take a lot of time. We do, Josh, all have our different beliefs. But as you talked about yours, and I've learned about Mitch's beliefs, and I just think, wow, we're all on the same page. We just have different ways of getting there, or different ideas. But the basics are the same. Family, love, kindness, reaching out to others. In my faith, we call that being a disciple of Christ. And I don't know where Mitch's feelings were about him, but he was one of the most Christ-like people you could ever meet. Empathy, my mom always says, Mitch had so much empathy. If somebody was struggling or sad, he took it into his own heart. And he literally felt that for them or with them. Everything from fixing the seams on my mom's socks so they wouldn't be under her toes because he hated that. So he knew she probably hated that, and he would fix her socks. Mitch loved the babies. He loved family. He was enthralled with our baby, Heather. He couldn't wait to hold her, try to pack her around, but I'd say, oh, Mitch, you can't take the baby too far. Anyway, I just want to leave you with those thoughts. And my strong testimony belief that there is more. This life is just a taste. There is more. We will be together again. We will see him and we will embrace him. And it'll be a toss-up between Gerald and Mitch for my heart. I love you, Annette and Doug. Your family is my family. We share our kids. Christina, and all of you beautiful kids, you are his legacy. You are his future. You are the world's reminder of how wonderful he was, and I know you will carry that through. I know it. And I leave you with those thoughts. Thank you.
I hope I can gather these thoughts for you so they make sense. When Cammie asked me to share memories of Mitch's childhood, there's not a lot of my memories that don't include Mitch. He was just another brother in my family, except that he was the brother that let me do whatever I wanted. And he was the brother that was never mean. And he was the brother that always let me watch Little Mermaid and It Takes Two, because that's what I wanted. Ever since I can remember, Mitch would do things for me. I think his dentist probably wondered why he always picked the girl toys out of the prize basket, but it was because he wanted to give a present to me. He was brave at the doctor and the dentist so that he could pick a prize and bring it home to me. It was never about him. I I don't have a lot of specific memories, but I have little things that I just associate with Mitch. From his Bob Marley poster in his bedroom, and how he always liked to do karate. I remember playing his Sega. Corey says it was better to do it under the covers so they could see the screen better. We always loved going to Mitch's house because that's where we got to eat the good microwave popcorn, and where Aunt Annette made the best crepes in the world. I remember being at Grandma Ann's condo, where we would run around the parking lot, and we would run up and down the stairs, and we would play house. And Mitch always had to take care of the babies. I remember one time going to the carnival for Labor Day at the Payson Park, and Mitch could talk me into doing things I would never have done before. He talked me into riding some of the rides that now are some of my favorite memories, the Ring of Fire going upside down, the spaceship ride, which I got really sick and I had to lay down the rest of the day. But it was always fun with Mitch. We were watching home videos, and I think there must be something in the circus. And we have a video with Cammie being the ringmaster, and Mitch was Lionel the lion. I was Berkey the bear, and Corey was Barney the Black Panther. And I was 3, Mitch was 4, and Corey was 5, and Jed was Gonzo Zonzo the clown. And throughout this circus, Cammie had the little ones doing magic tricks, disappearing, oh so trickily, through the backs of the strollers. And you can see our little heads peeking around, and jumping through hoops, and jumping off the stools, and riding Corey around in the wheelbarrow where he would stand up and growl, and Jed was the comic relief where he'd come in and do the clown acts, riding the trike and bringing his baby in. And that was just life for us. We ran around the front room with the See Me Run tapes, pretending to be animals. And the last thing that I want to share was just that Mitch was always my protector. He always wanted to make sure I was okay. When we were little, we loved each other so much. We were going to get married, and we were devastated when Mom told us we couldn't because we were cousins. But she said we could be best friends, so we were. And when we moved away to Salina, and I didn't want to leave my Mitch. And he had his favorite blankie that he loved with his whole heart. And he gave it to me. And he told me that whenever I missed him, I just needed to hug his blankie. And he would be there with me. And I know he will. I have to bring it with me today. And it's actually in pretty good shape considering how old it is. But I know he will be with us. I know he's watching over us. And I know he'll wrap his arms around us. And he will be that protector on the other side, always watching out for his family. Thank you.
Hi. My boys made me promise I wouldn't cry up here. I tried to make that promise, but I don't know if I can. I've known Mitch basically my whole life too. I kind of grew up going to Aunt Raylan's and hanging out with Corey and Jen and Melissa. So it's been hard. I just want to talk about how good of a person Mitch was. I moved back when I was almost 18 and started working for Nate. And Mitch was my best friend for years. Kind of my only friend for a lot of years. Every chance we got, we'd go fishing. We played a lot of Xbox, just hanging out. A lot of years I wish I could go back and do some of those times over with him. One of my favorite things about Mitch is just how good of a person he was, and if you ever needed anything, he'd be there to help you. I was trying to think of something funny Mitch did one time years ago when Eagle Mountain was still pretty small. We were out there working, and I know Nate remembers this. It was in the middle of winter, and Mitch cut a board with his skill saw and picked up the saw, and it sucked into his leg. And the first thing he did was pull his pants down. And he had his thermals and his pants on, and was standing there butt naked for a minute before he realized it was cold. And he pulled at least his thermals back up. But I remember Nate was on the phone with Geneva Rock at the time, and was shoring up our mud and told him, never mind, don't come. We threw Mitch in the truck and we tried to run into the Instacare, and they told us they couldn't help him, so we had to take him to the hospital. But I had a lot of good times working with Nate and Mitch and Gerald. I kind of lost touch with him for a lot of years, but I'm happy to say that I got back in touch with him about last year, and he'd come over and have a beer after work and just kind of hang out. And there's a lot of things I wish I could do over in life, and being closer to people when something like this happens is one of them. Things you never expect is gonna happen, and it's hard when people leave like this. And I know it leaves a lot of questions, and I always feel like, what more could we have done for someone that was so good for so many people? But I know Mitch wouldn't want us to be stuck on that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to take a lot of time either, but just wanted to come up and talk about how good Mitch was to everyone that knew him. And I know he'll be missed by a lot of people, so thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Wetton, and I actually worked with Mitch at CSB Nutrition for about 7 years. And I wanted to just bring some memories that I had of Mitch at work and then also personally. Some of you might nod your head and go, yeah, that was Mitch. But most of my memories of Mitch were at work, and then also my personal friendship that I had with him. Mitch was a people person, as has been said earlier, and he's one of the hardest workers that I know. When given a task or a problem to solve, he would actually plan and look at it from every direction, make sure there were no loose ends. He could quickly diagnose a problem and plan a solution. We very rarely did he make a mistake when he did this. He usually knew exactly what to do and how to do it. So, as Raylyn talked about when he was younger, I think he learned a few things and figured out that if he didn't know, he needed to go find out so he could do it right. The interesting thing, the thing that Mitch struggled with the most at work and hated to do is having to give a corrective action to one of the people working for him, especially if it was a repeat write-up. He figured that if he could just talk with the individual and tell him what he needed to do, that he would take this individual would take the same approach that Mitch did and just fix it. So he struggled with that part. Unfortunately, not everyone was like Mitch. He loved mentoring people. That was one of his favorite things to do. He was so proud of Nicole, Rhett, Sage, and others at work. As they learned about their jobs and when they excelled. I'll give a little example. He had one person that was working for him that was struggling with English. And so he made a deal with him that for 10 minutes a day, Mitch would speak Spanish to this individual, and this individual would speak English to Mitch. And that's how he was learning Spanish. So he looked at it as an opportunity. He also loved to give people a hard time. And you could tell when he was up to that, when he had that sly grin where his eyebrow raised a little bit and he got that grin, I can't do it. He loved to give HR a hard time. For some reason, when he wore his grizzly camel hat, HR and him had something going. So Lindsay and HR doesn't have to worry, because my understanding is that Mitch has his hat with him. Personally, I consider Mitch one of my best friends at work. He got to know my family. My oldest son worked for Aaron, where Mitch and Gerald and Aiden lived. And when Ben was there putting the equipment away after a long day's work, Mitch would go out and talk with him. So, as kids, sometimes they don't talk with their parents, but I could find out how my son Ben was doing through Mitch. My next son, John, worked for Mitch in the warehouse for a couple of years and considered him a mentor and one of the best bosses that he ever had. Mitch also, I was a recipient of his help. Our youngest son worked with Mitch when Mitch came over to help pour cement at our house, a pad and some stairs. And my wife and I were able to help ferry some of the family down from when Christina and Mitch got married. I felt like Mitch was willing to do anything for my family. That was the type of person that he was. Mitch and I also, I think, helped each other through some tough times. I think there are times in life when we face our own mortality and try to understand what we're doing here and what happens after death. I've had a few of those experiences in my life. I know that when Gerald passed away, Mitch and I would have some very heartfelt talks about God and life after death. My mother had passed away unexpectedly a few years earlier, and we would discuss how we felt, how the pain and memories come back all of a sudden, unexpectedly. We would sometimes talk about what Gerald and my mom were doing on the other side. I remember one experience that he told me after Gerald passed away, when he was still there in the home, where Gerald showed up and was apparently messing with the stove. I don't remember the details of what was going on, but Mitch even asked out loud, "What do you want, Gerald?" About a year and a half ago, I dealt with the declining health of my father. Mitch was one of the first people in my office to see how I was doing when I got back. And I did the same for Mitch when he lost his grandfather last year. I knew he had a very special relationship with his grandfather, and he felt like his grandfather was watching over his family. And I'm sure that when Mitch passed away, his grandfathers and his brother were waiting for him and helping him through that transition. Now to Mitch's family. Mitch told me a lot of stories about you guys, probably more than I want to share. Kayla and her dating, Aiden and his schoolwork. The reason I share that with you is he was proud of you. He was proud of the people you had become and who you were. And he shared that with us at work. He loved you very much. And I hope that as your sisters, Bella and Anastasia, grow up, you can share that with them of how much Mitch loved each of you. I want you to know that I know that Mitch will be there in the important times of your life. Be it your guardian angel. He will keep tabs on his family from the other side because of how much he loved his family. And you never need to feel alone because your dad will be there. I am extremely grateful for the friendship I had with Mitch, the influence he was in my life, and I feel like I'm a better person because I got to know Mitch. Thank you.
I've been sitting over there trying to hold it together, and now I'm gonna lose it. But, I'm just coming up here to share a few memories of Mitch, of mine, and my siblings, and everybody. From Porter, he says, Mitch always made everybody happy. He always made the mood better. He was really strong and would always do contests with us, and he always would. Mitch was that uncle that was always up there and always wanted to play with us. I remember me and Chloe and Aiden, we'd always go up and steal Mitch's hat just to get him to come downstairs and chase us. Then we'd get down there on the mattress down there in Grandma's basement and just wrestle with Mitch. And it's one of the best memories. And just having Mitch he always did compete with us. Mackley, Mitch taught me how to play hot cross buns on the accordion. One time he was teaching Hodge how to shoot at Gerald's Day, and the hammer hit Hodge, and he cared for Hodge a lot. He also helped me with my unicorn loop rug. I'm not sure what that is, but from Hodge, Uncle Mitch always teases me. Me and Bella like to watch out the window when he walks to his truck after Uncle Mitch would drop Bella and Anastasia off. Uncle Mitch also taught me how to shoot a gun. A memory from Paxton was Mitch was always patient with me, even when I was driving other people nuts. He took time to help me shoot at Gerald's Day. He gave me a hug most mornings before school when he was dropping off the girls to my mom. He would say, "Hey, Pax," and it made me feel good about myself. I will miss those hugs. From Chloe, Mitch was always such a good example to me. He was so extremely kind. He was always the first one to ask me how I was doing. He was a good listener, a leader, and someone I will always look up to. And then from my little brother Carter, Mitch always loved helping his family with shooting guns. Me and Mitch and some other people hiked to the cabin, and the first thing I asked him was if he would let me shoot his revolver. Knowing Mitch and his good heart, he let me shoot his revolver. He helped me to have a good aim and made sure he and I were being careful. When we went to Gerald's Day 2 years ago, I was shooting my .22, and my little brother Hodge wanted to shoot my .22, and Mitch said, "I can help." So I said yes. Mitch then helped Hodge while he was shooting, and it reminded me when he helped me back then. Mitch was always wanting to help people. He always wanted to give people opportunities, whether it was shooting guns or just being around other people. I remember shooting guns with Mitch as well. I always asked Mitch, what gun do you got today? And he'd show me all of the pistols he had and everything. And he'd be like, you want to try it out? And he'd make me load the clip the first time, right? He's like, you got to load it if you want to shoot it. So I would load it up. And I would shoot it, and I'd be so having so much fun, and I would turn around and want to shoot it again. But Mitch, being the person he was, he had the next clip ready for me to shoot, right? I'm gonna miss Mitch a lot. He was a great uncle, always wanting to get involved, always wanting to play with us. And I just remember every time I see Mitch, it was a hey Chan man, what's up Chan man? How are you today, Chan man? I'm gonna miss that. He always wondering how I'm doing, and always the first person to ask. And one of my greatest memories, and the tradition that I kind of want to carry on to remember Mitch, is his beer bread. I don't know if you guys had it or not, but I love Mitch's beer bread. Every family party, reunion, get together, barbecue, it was, Mitch, are you making your beer bread? And he's telling me what kind of beer he was using that batch. I was always nervous to eat it the first couple of times because beer bread, right? But he always told me it was safe and everything. So that's going to be the thing that I want to keep going for Mitch. Is I want to make the beer bread, and I want to continue with that. But yeah, let's keep it at that. Thank you guys.
I was gonna hold it together, and that kid makes me so proud. He makes me cry. I got some notes, just because I probably won't keep my thoughts together either. So Mitch and I were 9 years apart, and I don't really have a lot of memories of Mitch when he was a kid. I think I was growing up and working and wrestling, playing with my friends, while Mitch was at Evan and Raylan's house and Dan and Cindy's house. And I've seen so many pictures of him being a Danzig girl and down there with the Christensens. And so no wonder I don't have any memories of Mitch as a kid. So I appreciate the memories that were shared with me today, because that's my memories. My real good memories of Mitch really start. I remember him as a kid. He loved animals, and he had this room. His bedroom was themed with like Africa and jungle stuff as a kid, and I remember thinking, oh, I guess he could have a cool room, We were both alike in that we both grew up walking on our tiptoes. Me and Mitch could both bounce around on our toes growing up, and then I see his girls and stuff and Aiden doing the same thing. So those of you who knew Mitch as a kid remember him bopping around on his tiptoes. One thing I remember about him being younger is he loved the movie Home Alone, and he would sneak around and walk around just like Macaulay Culkin did in the movie. When I first got married to Angela, she had Colton and Alex, and Mitch instantly became an uncle, and he took on that role, and he never stopped. He loved those kids, and then everyone that came since, he's loved every bit as much. We really started spending a lot of time together, like Richard said, when Mitch started working for me, and we started pouring concrete with me, and had both Mitch and Gerald and Richard. We really had a lot of fun and a lot of memories. Mitch was a hard worker. He got along with everyone, Mitch didn't always like being told what to do, and he always tried to figure out his own way to do everything. But you know, he did come up with some good ideas. Him and Gerald sometimes argued about their ideas because they both thought they had a better one. But Mitch made a lot of friends with his coworkers, with the concrete truck drivers, pump truck drivers, and a lot of the contractors. A few of those I'll mention was my friend Riley. Mitch and Riley stayed close through all this time. Casey Gallagher and Jared Coyle, Richard already spoke, Larry Conklin. Those are some of the good friends Mitch made, you know, and working for me. Some of the concrete truck drivers, they just, you know, they loved him, and we actually went and helped some of them, you know, when they were building their houses or doing their projects as well. Some of the contractors Mitch loved to work for, Robert and Matt Nelson, he really enjoyed working for them when we did their jobs. Ryan Remkus and Matt Romero, Quentin Frankham, Jeff Carlisle and Scott McBride. We did a lot of work for Carbide back then, and then Scott Peterson. And these are just to name a few. But Mitch really enjoyed, you know, just bonds he made with the people he met. And after I shut my business down, Mitch decided he didn't want to stay in construction. And so I think that's when he went to work for Savenza and then later to CSB and such. He liked the consistent schedule with working at those places because he was able to spend the time he wanted with Aiden at that time, and the schedule was more important than the money. The schedule he made and had, and that so he could go pick Aiden up and have certain days and times when things worked. And with concrete, you never knew when you were getting off. You just had to stay until the concrete was done. We continued to do side jobs though, and these were some of my most memorable times. Pouring concrete with Mitch, because we just would laugh and have fun, and we made a lot of good friends doing these side jobs. Some of the ones that would stand out to me is Lions Den storage units. We'd go down there, and it seemed like every year, Ray Butler and Rod Schramm would call us up and say, "We're ready for another unit. Are you ready to pour another one for us?" And I'd call Mitch, and he'd be the first one to say, "Yeah, I'm in." There was another friend of theirs named Rick Bluth, and Rick would call us every year as well. Mitch would half the time say, "Has Rick called you yet this year?" One of the fun ones up at Rick's was Rick decided to build a bridge, and he built this great big huge bridge in his barn, and he says, "I need a place to set it." So we poured some foundation walls and set this bridge across these walls. And then he says, "Well, now I've got my segways," and he says, "I need and he had a train too for his grandkids, and he says, "I need a big path, you know, a walking path or something to go around." And I said, "Okay, well, what do you think?" And, you know, like a little 4 foot. And he says, no, we need like something 8 foot, and it's got to have some big berms and stuff so we can catch the corners. And Mitch caught the vision, and he was happy to go help Rick. And he always had fun. So we get down at Rick's house, Rick would always pull the segways out, and they'd jump on and ride around. And, we had hours of fun enjoying the work that we did afterwards. We had a lot of fun with Hagen's side jobs too. Hagen started deciding that, you know, he liked side job money, and Hagen would call Mitch and I all the time to go help him, and we had a lot of family helping on those side jobs, and just it wasn't even like work. It was just like a reunion. We'd all get together, we'd laugh, we'd have fun, and pour concrete together. And then another special one was I had a friend named Phil Carter. than Phil would always call us to help on their jobs. And sometimes Mitch got frustrated because they weren't as organized as how we would run jobs, but they'd still get done. And Phil had a brother, John, and John would seem like he'd build a house every so often. And so the first time John called and needed help, he says, "Do you know anybody else?" I said, "I got my brother Mitch." And Mitch and John, from that time on, became really good friends. Even when I couldn't go help John with side jobs, John would call Mitch. And to this day, I know that Mitch and John valued that relationship. Some of my memories with Mitch and things I know that he loved is Mitch loved camping and hunting and hiking. We had many camping trips, so many of which were family reunions, where we had a lot of good memories. Some of the ones I know my kids will remember is Mitch setting up his zip lines. The first time we did it, I know Mitch and Gerald were there, and Mitch was sending Carter down from the back of his truck, and Gerald was catching them, and we got a video of it. We still got both their voices and both of their unique laughs in that video, which is something we'll always treasure. Uncle Vaughn would have the stick horse rodeos, and I know Mitch was always enjoyed the stick horse rodeos that Uncle Vaughn would put on. Another Danzy reunion, we had a talent show one time, and Mitch was known in his younger years for singing some Shania Twain. I think there's a song that says, "Man, I feel like a woman." It was one of his favorites, but he didn't really always want everybody to know that. But one time as we were doing this talent show, and Grandpa Danzy had built a big platform stage, and all the Danzy girls were doing their dance recitals. My dad and Gerald and I were trying to walk on our hands and do monkey rolls. And we had a lot of fun. And Uncle Dan, crazy Uncle Dan, he put a sign around himself that said, "I am Mitch," on a paper plate, I think, and went up there and sang Shania Twain. Mitch didn't find it as funny as we all did, but it's something we'll never forget. But just, I think things, some of these things is, I just love sitting around the fire, telling stories, telling jokes, telling stories. We had many hikes up to the cabin up on Nebo. We spent a lot of time hiking around on Baldy, and I know Mitch even made it to the top of Nebo. I was telling my boys and telling Aiden the other day that, Gerald made it to the top of Baldy and Mitch made it to the top of Nebo, and I got my work cut out for me to get to both those places. Mitch and I didn't always hunt together. Mitch a lot of times hunted with Gerald and Deke during the bow hunt, up on Baldy down in Monopole, and a lot of that time I was up Fifth Water with Neil, and we tried to convince Mitch to come up there, but he always enjoyed being where he was at. They had their tree stands. One time they got caught in a rainstorm, and Gerald and Mitch built a little shelter that they called the wigwam, and the pine boughs, and they rode out the storm in what they call the wigwam. And I know that's another special place that I'm going to have to go visit. But there's three elk hunts that I really remember with Mitch. And the first one, we went up to Soldier Summit, and Don Jensen and I both had tags that year. And Don had, first bunch of elk we saw, Don had hit one and knocked one down, and I missed a whole bunch. So Mitch led me around on the side-by-sides, and he was showing me how to get to other places, and we saw other patches of elk going over the hill, and at one point I shot up at one as they were going up over a hill. It was a long shot. Mitch swore that I'd hit one. And so as we drove up around, we'd come up around a road and it kind of turned back on that same ridge, you know, and so, cause we were shooting up to my left and this road come up and around. Well, Mitch had his head, as we come up and around, he had his head back down looking outside, trying to, out of side by side, looking for tracks and blood. And Janice and I are in a side by side behind him. And all of a sudden, as he's looking out his side by side to the left, hundreds of elk come piling up over in front of him. He's about 50 yards in front of me, and these elk are running about 30 yards in front of him, and he doesn't even see them because he's looking for the tracks and blood, but they were never there. Again, I tried to get him in my sights, but he was in front of me, and he kept getting in my way, and I couldn't get shots good, and I was taking bad ones away from him, and we missed a whole bunch that day too. But it was a fun day. We'll always remember because we had a lot of laughs. Another one that was special to me was Chandler and Mitch had late season Nebo rifle elk tags, and one day crazy Uncle Dan called us up and said there was a bunch of elk up there, and he knew right how to get there, and he knew the one little stretch of public ground we could sneak through in between two sets of private to get up to them. And we hiked up there in the snow, and those two were shooting and missing a lot too. I think Chandler finally knocked one down. At one point, Mitch ran out of bullets and grabbed Chandler's gun to keep shooting, but we ended up filling both those tags that day, and we had a lot of fun. And then the one that's probably the most special to me was the one time I did get Mitch to go up to Fourth Water with me. He'd been complaining that every time he went to his tree stand, the elk wouldn't come in. The elk were there before him, the elk would come in after him, but for some reason, while he was in there, the elk wouldn't come. He had pictures to prove it. So I said, well, let's go up to Fourth Water. We hiked into Fourth Water, and we sat down, and Uncle Dan has some chairs that he stashes in there, and we sat in those chairs. And I'd sat in there with Gerald, and I'd sat in there with other people from times. And many of our family have sat there since. And there's a lot of names and stuff carved in those trees. But Mitch and I sat there, and we had elk come in. And he had his longbow, or his recurve, I can't remember which. And we had a cow and a calf come in, and he got so excited. And he went to draw back, and the branch caught his broadhead and pulled his arrow off, and he was trying to get it back on, and it was kind of a fiasco. He finally did get a shot off, and he shot right over it. I think it's the only shot he ever took at an elk. As they were on the run, I shot two and missed as they were on the run. But we had several elk come in. We had a big bull come in that day, and it's probably one of the most special times I had hunting with him. We had a lot of silly memories together. I'm not very good at karaoke, but sometimes I like to do it. Mitch was always the first person to come join in. I think one time after Grandma Loveless passed away, there was a group of us, and Mitch and I, we were probably the ringleaders in singing Bohemian Rhapsody. That was a fun time. Mitch never missed an opportunity to come in and jump in when the Beastie Boys were playing. So, I mean, it didn't matter where or when. If it was around a fire, at Ty's wedding, it just didn't matter. He was the first person to hear Beastie Boys, and he was on the run. He loved playing and teasing with his nieces and nephews. Another one I remember, Mitch had some dogs. He had a red heeler and a blue heeler, and they were brother and sister. He got them out of the same litter, and so he didn't get either one of them fixed, and they ended up having pups, not once but twice. So red and blue make purple, so I used to tease him about his inbred purple heelers. Mitch was always taking care of others. He took care of his grandparents, his parents, his siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, friends. He'd always go help Grandpa Clint and Grandma Ann. It didn't matter what they were doing, whether they were trying to hook up their internet, put a new roof on their house, or just need help with little projects or little things. He was always there helping Grandpa Clint and Grandma Ann. Mitch was a great husband and father. He had a special bond with all of his kids. He knew and understood each of them individually. He loved teaching them animal sounds. I'll never forget his elephant sounds that he would make. He'd even get his arm going. I can't even try to do it. He'd get the kids howling like wolves. He always made his schedule work so he could get his kids all the places they needed to go. I admire my little brother for being such a good dad and a good husband. I think some of the things I'm going to miss the most is just getting it together and having family dinners. I will miss his side dishes. He'd always bring new ones, but most of all, like Chandler said, we always expected beer bread. I'll miss going over to my mom and dad's and just trading massages and him popping my back and me popping his back. It just seemed like that was become a tradition. Miss playing cards and joking together. We'd always laugh and play cards. I miss trading movie lines with him. Mitch was really good at that. We could just almost communicate with movie lines. He was a lot better than I was. There's many movies that will remind me of Mitch, and I was going to list some of them. So I Married an Axe Murderer, Wayne's World, A Night at the Roxbury, Basketball, The Usual Suspects, Grumpier Old Men, Tombstone, Braveheart, Young Frankenstein, Son-in-Law, and probably the most iconic would be Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And that's just to name a few. I think most of all, I'm going to miss Mitch singing with his kids, seeing him raise his kids. We were supposed to raise our kids together. I'm trying to pick up the pieces that you left behind. And I don't understand. I know I probably never will. I do not know, Mitch, that I love you and to be loved and missed by all. I think now I think there's a little bit of time left. I hope I didn't take up too much. We're gonna open the mic up for if anybody has a few words that they might want to share. And I know that my dad is going to come up. He'd like to come up first and share a few things. And then after the remarks, we'll do the musical selection, like Josh said. Also want to thank everybody for coming out and all the great words that were said and the memories that were shared. So we'll turn the time over to those who want to come up. Thank you.
Sometimes, as a father, we don't always get to get in on all the fun things that the kids did. Sometimes we're the more mature or ornery or whatever it is that we do that keeps our kids away from us because we're too serious or whatever. But Mitchell and I were pretty close. And that's why this has been tough on me. I didn't see this coming. And I tried to, this last week, read and study and understand some of the things that Mitch believed in, and I was struggling with it, I'll be honest with you. And if I say something that I don't understand or I misquote things, please forgive me. I've been trying to figure things out. So first I want to say hello, my family. And when I say my family, that means everyone here. Because the faith that Annette and I practice believes that we are all brothers and sisters. All of you. And isn't it wonderful that in our country we have the freedom, that our country provides us with the freedom and protects our religious freedoms. And Mitch chose to practice a different religion, different beliefs than his mother and I. In fact, all of our children practice differently than we do. And I've tried to respect that and support them in it. And it's not always been easy, because I didn't always understand. And I didn't talk to Mitch much about his religious beliefs. I know his mother did, a little bit. And the important factors of what he told her was that they believed in family, and they believed in treating women with respect and putting them at a higher level. So with that, I can tell you, Mitch totally lived his religion. Because his love and dedication to his family was very evident. It was without question. Mitch's love and respect for women was developed and displayed throughout his whole life. He started at a very young age, showing his love and caring and kindness to his mother, his grandmothers, especially Grandma Ann. To his sister, to his aunts and his cousins, Melissa, of course, Shar and Maddie, and as you guys have already heard, to Dan and Cindy's girls, to the Danzy girls, which I can name all 7 of them. I don't think I can in order right now, but it's just the Danzy girls. Let's just call it that. They adopted Mitch into their little club. Spent countless hours romping and playing and doing things. Led to a lot of teasing later, and his mate kind of let the cat out of the bag. And that night took Mitch. The other kids were older, and they were gone out of the house. Were just teenagers and didn't want to be with the parents. So we took Mitch on a little trip, just the 3 of us. We went to Mesa Verde. We were in the hotel. Mitch was taking a shower. He was 10, 11, 12. I can't remember. He was around 11 or 12. We're just sitting in there in the other part of the hotel on the bed. And all of a sudden, Mitch is singing in the shower. Man, I feel like a woman. And we never let him forget that. And I know that he's been around enough women that I know he knew how they felt. I know he was in touch with his feminine self. And isn't that wonderful? Because he knew how to take care of girls. He knew how to treat them good. I can't read. I don't know what's the matter with my eyes. They don't want to focus. Mitch loved Aiden's mother, Kelsey. She was his high school sweetheart. And then about 5 years ago, he met and then married Christina. Well, met her, I don't know exactly how long, 5 or 4.5. I don't know the time frame, but I'm just saying 5, okay? And Christina was the love of his life, the mother of his beautiful girls. And there's no denying his love for her. He doted over her. He did everything he could to take care of her and their children. He put her on a pedestal. And he loved her with all of his heart. So yes, he did live his beliefs. And I know there's always questions. And I know there's different beliefs where people end up. And sometimes there's different beliefs about how they got there. And it's hard sometimes for these younger kids and even old adults to understand. So the question sometimes is, where is Mitch now? And as I was reading, trying to study about what he believed in this last week, it talked about Valhalla. I thought, did Mitch go to Valhalla? Am I saying that right, Josh? Valhalla is a place that's associated with Mitch's religion. And one of the definitions that I read said that Valhalla means Hall of the Fallen. And it is believed that those who lose their lives in battle go to Valhalla. And I believe Mitch lost his life in battle. He had an inner battle, a struggle within himself that none of us knew about. And I wish I'd have known. Because I wish you would have talked to me about it. So I asked myself again, did Mitch go to Valhalla? And I had to tell myself no. Because then I read another statement and said, the Valhalla is also the counterpart of paradise. And I know Mitch is in paradise, so I know he can't be there. And so then I was still thinking about it. And I read the tribute that Josh wrote and posted about Mitch. And I quote what Josh says. If I can see it through my blurry eyes. May his passage into the halls of the ancestors be smooth. I can tell you that I firmly believe that not only was it smooth, but it was peaceful. To all of you kids, Aiden especially, let me tell you truthfully, when Mitch departed from this life, it was peaceful and swift. It was actually instantaneous. He passed through the veil that blocks this life from the next and was met by loving arms, by family. And he's okay. He's in a good place. And when you can feel the comfort, the knowledge that know that your dad or your uncle, all of you young ones, that he went to that wonderful place, and Gerald and Grandpa and Grandma, Loveless, and all of the other ancestors that left behind us or ahead of us, left us behind for now. We're there waiting for him. And I want to finish up by reading you just some lyrics from a song. Again, if I can find it. This song is actually a special song to me. It was one that my brother had actually sang, my brother and my nephew sang at my dad's funeral. It says, I know your life on earth was troubled, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting. Love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see those angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. I have a special family. I have a special immediate family. My sons, special people. I don't know why I was blessed to get them. Hard workers and treat people wonderfully. Gerald, Mitch, Nate, all of them knew how to treat women good. And they all loved kids, knew how to have fun with kids. And it goes without saying that Cammie is just the best little mother hen there is. She's just always been that way, just how she was built, and can't change that. So now 2 of them are gone. The other 2 are here, and we'll just try to pick up the pieces. I know that Mitch and Gerald, they're watching over us. Thank you.
I'm mixing it up a little bit and having Josh finish this out because I know I won't be good by the end. So I got 5.5 really big ears. I expected 50 more, but I got the best partner. And my ears were short, but I got a lot of good memories. And we met 5 months to the day after he lost Gerald. And Mitch swore up and down that Gerald plotted and did his best to make that happen a little bit sooner. Because I did get trapped in the family room during Gerald's service. It was very awkward. This was before I had met Mitch. Mitch would tease me to this day. I'm sure he still would. About how we met, the night we met, because we met, and that was it. We didn't have a really big dating period. We both had been single for a really long time. We took our time to figure out who we were as individuals, as parents. I came with 4 beautiful kids that
sometimes I forget how small they were when we got together. I got Aiden. And we both thought, we were good, we were happy, and then because I'm crazy, I insisted on just a couple more. Almost one more, and then just one more after that. And I'm so glad I did. Because I get to see our babies. And I get to see him and all of our kids every day. So I know I'm very lucky. Because I know there are people that go their whole lives looking for what I got to have with him. I got to have my best friend. We were a little hermity, but in our defense, we really liked hanging out with each other. We liked our kids. We liked the home that we made. We are very proud of that. You don't get that a lot. You don't get to still, after the dating period, after the honeymoon, after buying a house and struggles with jobs and putting me through school and getting ready to put him through school. You don't get to have all of that and still be so happy to see the person you come home to every day. And I know how lucky I am in that. Because I got that every single day. There wasn't a day that I came home or a day that he came home that we didn't give each other a smile and a kiss and gross the kids out so well that even the 3-year-old goes, ew. And she'd really gotten used to it, so that was absolutely the teenager's fault. So I just want to say thank you for all of the support that everybody has shown us this week. The support I know we'll still have because that's who he is. There's a meme. Everybody knows me, I talk in memes. There's a meme and it was, me and my husband boarded a plane, got separated. My husband's now best man at somebody's wedding and I just apologized 3 times for touching somebody's elbow. And that was us. That was us to a T. Because he would drag me out, make me socialize, and I just wanted to be with my kids and my husband. Because I knew that's all I needed. I was really lucky. So I just want to say thank you again for all the support. That gave me a really good idea. I am going to post this later, but for anybody that's here, because we are all a little bit long-winded, anyone that wanted to talk and isn't going to have a chance to because, we got a storm coming in. If you could take a moment or two and send me memories of your times with him, things that you remember that are special to you, even if you don't think that they were something big, something small. Our teenagers are really lucky. They got a lot of good years with him. As evidenced by, Aiden and all of his quotes. Michaela knowing how to do a back handspring, even though she nearly gave Mitch concussion learning. Alexa learning how to do excellent back walking for whenever he popped his rib out. Madeline had a very special bond. My little squirrel. Michael, he would often quote that had a Mary Nax for because when we first met, Michael had the same size head, but like half the body size. So all my kids have all this time and all these memories, and if you guys could send me yours, so I can put it together in a book. Because I want our baby girls to have that too. I'll have videos and pictures. Mitch taught the baby, he taught Anastasia how to stand and how to walk. And everybody knows Bella is Debbie's girl. So they've got memories and pictures, but I want them to have any kind of memories that they can have So after today, if there's anything that strikes your fancy or anything that's just unique to him, you could send them to me so I can make that for them. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, and if anybody else wants to come up and talk, we would love to hear it. And then Josh will round it out at the end because I know I'm done for the day. My shock's wearing off, so anybody that sees me and says, "You're so strong," please know that's complete shock and denial. So if I break down because the babies aren't good, that is that. Thank you.
Well, if you all know me, I'm not real serious. And I just know most of you probably won't get this, but those of you that do, I expect you to join in.
Oh no.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Goodness, Mitch.
Hello. I met Mitch literally last July. I went to work for him over at Kennyco. Him and I had many a discussion about the religious end of his faith and mine. The first time I actually met Mitch was when I went in for the interview, and then the next week he met me over at Peace and Scottish Festival. I work over there selling knives at the sword booth. We had a long conversation and instant friendship, and I'm gonna miss him very much. He always loved to tease me when I was wearing this hat that I looked like Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. I don't know why, but he made it catch on with all the coworkers at Candy Co. So for him, I'll always be Heisenberg.
I have a little story from when I first met Mitch.
Please don't talk about that.
The first time I found out about him was when they were all having a little movie date, and I walked downstairs because I was snacking on apples that entire night, and I wanted to go get another one. So I went down there trying to be as quiet as I can. I turned the corner on the staircase, and I just see some random guy on my couch with my mom. I didn't want them to know I was there, so I was trying to be all sneaky, trying to get into their apple until I was caught. When I was caught, they tried to send me upstairs, or at least Mom did. I sat on that staircase just trying to find out who this guy was. It took me about like 10 minutes before they found out I was still on that staircase. Just eating my apple. I ended up finishing that apple, so I went to go get for another one. Before she just gave up and let me go eat my apple in my room. And I was already doing that, so it wasn't really much. It was always the plan, and that's all I just wanted to share. That's how I first met him.
Sorry. I'm Mitch's oldest daughter, and a funny memory I have with him is being the oldest daughter, I gotta be the guinea pig and experience everything first, which meant my first speeding ticket. And for most people, it's like, oh, don't tell dad, don't tell dad, it's don't tell mom. My mom's really scary, and so luckily she was at work that night, and I was a little late to curfew, and I got my first ticket speeding on Arrowhead on my way home from my boyfriend's house, and because I was late to curfew, and I got the ticket, and I don't say anything, and I walked down into my mom and Mitch's bedroom, and I just
I just show him my ticket, and I was expecting him to get mad at me. He starts laughing at me and gives me advice on how to get out of another speeding ticket in case I get another one. Another funny story about Mitch was that we would come across kind of preaching videos, like, you see those guys in churches, it's like, hallelujah, amen! And so we would go in our backyard, we would start, Mitch would just go off. One day I was blind, and God spoke to me, and I can now see, amen! And we would just start screaming hallelujah in our backyard at like 9 in the morning. Another story, and it's not as funny, is when I had to go to 7 a.m. dance for a year, and my mom was working nights, so Mitch had to take me, and I didn't want to be there, and Mitch didn't want to be there, so Mitch would knock on my door. You awake? No. Okay, well, I'm leaving. I couldn't get up and put on my clothes because I'd set my alarm to 2 minutes before I had to leave, so I could get a prime sleep time. And we get in this cold, cold white truck that had no good songs on it, by the way. Yeah, I could never be on aux, and it was awful. The only good song he had on there that he introduced Madeline to was Bohemian Rhapsody, and that was probably the worst thing ever because that's all they sung in the car for a good couple years. But it'd be freezing cold, and he hadn't started his truck, and so I'd just be shivering in the passenger seat. He'd drop me off at dance. Have a good day. Okay. And I'd just leave. Which was very much a people person. Anytime he'd pick me up from my friend's house, it was always an extra 10 minutes of hanging out because he'd be talking to my friend's dad or their mom or their random cousin that was over. And then all of a sudden they'd think they'd have like a bromance. And then I'd see them again next week at my house because they became such good friends. It was a blessing and a curse because I'm not a people person. I'm about worse than my mom by like 10 times, which is why half of you guys don't even know I probably had daughters because we never come to anything. And yeah, we love Mitch and we're so grateful to hear him sing Shania Twain in the truck. And even though I kicked him in the face, and he never helped me with the back handspring ever again, I also always have those memories. And I know he gave the best back massages, except from Bernard. But yeah, I just wanted to share some funny memories and give some light humor, because that's all he was. Yeah, thanks.
This time?
Well, yeah, we're all looking at each other like we did the day in Nashville, man.
My mom and dad love Mitch so much. I'm a ball. Oh my gosh.
Give me a minute. Well, give me seconds. All right. So, my mom and dad, wherever they went, we would all go. They never had a date night. It was always, the night was with us. In that little basement in Genola. And that place is huge to us. It was our stage. I mean, Mitch, he was always a star attraction. Oh my gosh, if it wasn't for Mitch, we wouldn't have a sense of humor. He made us laugh all the time. We go pile in this Astro van. It wasn't much, but it was legit. We each had our spot, assigned seating. Mom and Dad pull in the gas station. We're getting ready to go fishing, of course. None of us really ever wanted to go but my dad. But we would all go. And so My dad's getting treats. What do you guys all want? We all knew what we wanted. We all looked forward to the gas station stop. Mitch says, I want a whatchamacallit. My dad said, what do you want? I want a whatchamacallit. This went on for a good 5 minutes. And finally, Mitch looked at my dad and said, Uncle Dan, it's a candy bar. Go get a whatchamacallit. He always knew how to handle my dad. All of us girls, we just kind of all bebopped around and did whatever we needed to do. My whole wardrobe was based off of whatever Mitch was wearing. He was a good egg. He taught us what it meant to be with a boy. We didn't know. We really didn't. He made it like a bar. He set the bar high for our family. All of our brother-in-laws are really based off of his mannerism. It's good. Thanks for having him.
Val and Keith would like to come up now. Give them his school number.
I gotta tell you, the other night Neil texted me and I said the family would like us to sing this, which is an honor, thank you. I said, so what do you want us to sing? Usually the family comes up with anything. And pretty soon you can hear Neil's mind going, he's texting everybody, and the family says, anything and everything by Donna Williams. Well, I cuts it down to 200 or 300 songs. We're gonna do a couple, but Mitch, we don't do Shania Twain, never. I'm sorry. Gee. You placed gold on my finger. You showed me love like I've never known. You gave life to our children and to me a reason to go on. You're my friend when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled storms. You're my angel in life's ocean, but most of all, you're my best friend. When I need hope and inspiration, you're always there when I'm tired. I could search the whole world could still be everything that I need. You're my friend when I'm afraid. You're my shelter from trouble within. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. I don't believe in superstars, organic food, or foreign color. I don't believe the price of gold, the certainty of growing old. But right is right and left is wrong. North and south can get along. The east is east and west is west. The flying close to getting best. But I believe in love. Believe in babies. Believe in mom and dad. And I believe in you. I don't believe the heaven ways for only those who congregate. I'd like to think that God is love. He's down below, he's up above. He's watching people everywhere. He knows who does and doesn't care. And I'm an ordinary man. Sometimes I wonder who I am, but I believe in love. Believe in music. Believe in magic. And I believe in you. I know with all my certainty what's going on with you and me is a good thing. It's true. I believe in you. I believe in love. I believe in old folks. Believe in children. And I believe in you. I believe in love. I believe in babies. Believe in mom and dad. And I believe in you. So, it wasn't planned, but we started this song to do, and it's the same song that Doug was talking about. I know you're tired, on purpose trouble. Only you can know the pain. You're afraid we've done. You're no stranger to rain. Go rest high on the mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout. Love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. Gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels smile when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go
shout. Love for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven. Love for the Father and the Son.
I want to thank everybody for coming out here today, showing your support and love to the Loveless family. It's really touching to just hear the few stories that I know everybody in this room has more than one. And if we had all day, it still wouldn't be enough. So we expect to see a lot of entries sent over to Christina so we can make this book. After this, we will be going to Basin City Cemetery. It's on the east side of the cemetery. Please obey all traffic laws while you're traveling. Please rise.
I'd like to ask Paul Baird to go make your way to the back. They're by the door, we'll bring him to you, then you can.
Family has asked that if anybody's in a folding chair, if you wouldn't mind folding it up, taking it out to the trailer, it'd be a lot of help. Thank you all.